Hi guys. So I just wanted to get on camera today. One, I was already on camera. I've just finished filming a new game show episode, and I decided while I've got the setup and everything, I would have a little bit of a talk about the recent events that have just happened to me and kind of just get out some of my frustration, because it's exhausting when you're trying to process everything that's going on, and people are trying to be really considerate and being like trying to be there for you, which is really great. Thank you to everybody who's tried to send me their thoughts and all that stuff. um, but I'm already dealing with so many overwhelming emotions that suddenly when you're getting that much feedback, it's adds to the overwhelming sensation that's already there. So if everybody's like, why are you doing a heart to heart and you've got your green screen up? It's like, well, I was already recording in front of my green screen and it would look really weird if I just posted a video with just the green screen as is. So I always change it because I don't like seeing it as it is. So as I have mentioned in many videos over about the last year, and as I've also mentioned on social media, and I've even posted on the community section here on YouTube, I was set to go to London. I was meant to fly out on the 2nd of July to go to the Charmed Again convention in London that was going to be hosted at the Renaissance Hotel, which is just around the corner from Heathrow Airport. And I booked my convention ticket back in June of last year. So that's how long I've been waiting for this. And I am no longer going because there is no longer a convention. And some people have said, well, why didn't you just still use your flight anyway and just go there for a holiday? I was only going for 6 days, and 6 days isn't much time to really have a holiday. Not to mention, I put literally, and people throw the word literally around, but I do mean literally. I put all my money into this trip. I'm unemployed. I don't have a job. I have been struggling with unemployment since 2013, technically 2012, and I haven't been able to find work. God knows that I've tried. And so to spend so much money on this and come out the other side of it with nothing is really soul shattering. But yeah, people are like, well, why didn't you still go through with the trip? When I say I put all my money into this convention, I mean just the convention. I didn't really have any money left over. Probably just enough to get myself some food and pay for a cab. Aside from that, I would not have had much left over, and I wouldn't have needed it because all my time was going to be spent at this hotel doing the convention, which was meant to go for 3 days, and that in my pass was going to include me having autographs with all the guests, photos with all the guests, attending 2 cocktail parties, doing 2 meet and greets, panels. There was just going to be so much that I was going to be doing, and a couple of those things, like a dinner party or cocktail party, whatever you want to call it. Sorry, it's really cold, so I've got sniffles. But having any of those things, it would have kept me busy, and it also would have meant, at sometimes food or drink would have been around, and yeah, I wouldn't have had to worry about going around and doing touristy things. I was going to be very, very occupied. So when there is now no convention and nothing to do, and I don't have money to get a train or a cab to go to, anywhere like Harrods, for example. If I had the money, I'd go to Harrods. I know it's like, why would you go to a shopping centre place? But it's like, It's really beautiful, and I really like the cupcakes, but that's a different story. Um, yeah, why are you going to sit around for 6 days, even if some of your friends are there, but you can't really participate? You can't pitch in, you can't pull your weight. You just be the person that they're stuck dragging behind them, and that's not a vacation. That's no. So I'm looking at losing, possibly if I don't get stuff worked out, between $3,000 and $4,000. Now, that's not an exaggeration. Here's what I purchased. I purchased the gold pass from the convention, which was being sold at a ridiculous price of £600. And at the time of that purchase, conversion would have had it about 1,100 Australian dollars. Conversion is a bitch. I mean, and the platinum pass, which is the only level above gold, was being sold for £1,000. And here's the part that like completely, when I saw that, I already thought that this was ridiculous. These were ridiculous prices because we have here in Australia, we have conventions like Oz Comic Con and Supernova, and I've been to Oz Comic Con, and if you were going to have buy a pass, and this is like the one they had for this year, if you were going to buy like an ultimate pass, which basically gives you pass to all day of the convention, you can do this, you can do that, it's just like free reign type thing. You get so many things included with this pass, and that was being sold for about, I think, 540, 640, yeah, like either $540 or $640. I don't remember the exact amount, but it was around that ballpark. And then you've got this charm convention, you've got this platinum pass, which is £1,000. So we're looking at like $2,000. And that's just absurd. But being the charm fanatic that I am, I was like, Mom, can I use your credit card? And she did let me use her credit card. And then after I bought my tickets and I was like, yep, I'm invested, I'm going. Then later on they announced that Holly Marie Combs was going, but she was a sponsored guest, not a basic guest. And I don't want to say basic because that sounds rude, but either way, she's not included in my pass. The only passes that include sponsored guests are the platinum pass, so I would have to pay for her individually, and I did. So that was about, so I think I paid £40 for a photo and £35 for an autograph. Then they announced a few more guests. Luckily, they were going to be included in my pass. Then they announced Rose McGowan. They announced her this year. And I think for a lot of people, when they found out Rose was going, that was like the deciding factor, because Rose does not really do conventions. She has not done one in years. I know she did Supernova here a few years ago. So like people were like, I will go to this just to see her. Like that was a huge selling factor. And she was also a sponsored guest, and I hadn't purchased a photo and autograph for her yet. I was going to do that at the convention. And then they announced Drew Fuller, and he was also a sponsored guest, which I thought was quite weird. But nevertheless, I was going to purchase his photo and his thing at the convention. And then they announced that Holly and Rose would be doing meet and greets. Now the thing is, I thought when it said meet and greet, I thought that they'd be doing it together, and yet when I went to go look at the tickets, they're sold as two individual things. You can either have a meet and greet with Holly or a meet and greet with Rose. Obviously, a charmed nut, I was going to do both. So it was £100 for Holly, and it was £125 for Rose McGowan for the meet and greet. Which, if you are thinking about the conversion, that's a shit ton of money. So I believe and I wrote this down, so I don't know, but I ended up spending about £900 on passes, and I would have spent more if I had purchased things in advance, but I was saving that for the convention, so luckily I didn't spend more than that. Nevertheless, if you go and convert that, we're still looking at nearly $2,000 Australian. That has gone belly up. I made my hotel reservation, which I've had to cancel. I'm still waiting to hear back from the hotel. So, I don't know what's going to happen there. I hadn't been charged yet, so I'm hoping I'm not going to get charged, but I have no idea. It depends on their policy. I cancelled my flight, and I had travel protection on it, but apparently my travel protection plan does not cover cancellation of tickets, so my ticket is non-refundable. But one thing I know, and this is especially because my sister used to be a travel agent for well over a decade, is that at the very least you can get your tax back when it comes to plane tickets. Legally, they cannot keep what you spent in taxes. That has to go back to you. But this place isn't really budging, so it's kind of like shit on shit on shit on shit. I have sent in a claim. They've given me a form to fill out. I filled it out. I've emailed it. I don't know if I'm ever going to hear from them. I've also emailed the airline asking for their help, because even their website states that, you have to get your tax back at the very least. So I'm hoping they can help me, because even though I didn't book it through them, I booked it through a second party, but it was with their airline, so I don't know. So, like I said, altogether, I'm looking at I've have spent or would have spent between $3,000 to $4,000 in total. Keep in mind, I'm coming from Australia to England. That's not cheap. And I've already requested a refund for the passes. I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen with that. And like I said, keeping my fingers crossed I won't have to pay for the hotel. But as for the moment, it looks like I'm screwed when it comes to my plane ticket. And they don't seem to want to give me my tax back. And I really don't want to have to call an ombudsman and have them deal with it. That's just more shit I can't tolerate right now. What's pissing me off about all of this is that it didn't need to happen. This shit show comes down to one person who was a shitty organizer, terrible planning skills, terrible at financing, and to make matters worse, has blatantly lied to so many people. That's the part that really gets me. I'm not here to do an expose. I'm just here to talk about what I know, because I need to get it off my chest, because I'm gonna have a freaking meltdown. Like, I'm ready to cry at any minute. So, yeah, I'm not here to give receipts, but this is what I know. And if you ask a number of people and related to the issue can back it up. So what has so far, what the outside public know is that Victor Webster cancelled a couple weeks ago. And then a few days ago, Lachlan Monroe cancelled, but I got somebody tagged him and Victor in my tweet, and then Lachlan responded, and while he was nice, he was also throwing a bit of shade at the event, and I didn't really want to say anything because none of this came as a surprise, and I'll get to that in a minute. Then of course it was announced, not yesterday, the day before that Rose McGowan had to cancel due to visa issues. And then, of course, it started circulating that Rose McGowan had said to a fan that both her and Holly were cancelling. So, um, Holly did take to her Twitter yesterday to say that she and Rose were not going, and to say that it was due to poor organisation and due to the UK government, and due to UK law enforcement telling the person running the convention that they had to shut down due to death threats. Yeah, I'm calling bullshit on that one. I'm sorry. Don't buy that for a second. Anyway, I'll get to that too. So yesterday, the event announces, I'm sorry to say that the whole thing is being cancelled. We'll be issuing refunds. Da 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 da. I tried to make it work. Da 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 da. Okay, so some people are pissed, and rightfully so, and others are very sympathetic. And it's like, well, you know, these things happen, and you try. It's like, no, 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 no. See, I had someone contact me about 1 to 2 months ago, a friend of mine, somebody I know, and they informed me that now they wanted to give me a heads up because they knew I was coming all the way from Australia, and of the people they had known involved in the convention, I had spent a lot of money, and so they were a bit concerned. So they basically told me what had been going on. Like I said, keep in mind, we're talking over a month ago I was told this. I was informed that the organizer was broke. They had no money. In fact, they were accruing debt in the thousands of dollars. That certain guests had not been paid, certain flights for these guests had not been booked, and that even the hotel was planning to cancel the deal that they had going, because I guess the deal involved they had to get so many guests booked and they weren't filling their quota, and so if they didn't fill the quota, the deal they had going with the convention, which I believe was that they would get the space for to do the convention, they'd get it for free or at a discounted price. That was going to be off the table if they didn't fill their quota. They weren't filling their quota. And to hear that this person was broke and was taking out loans, and that's not shade because the person actually put on the Best Events Facebook page that they had been taking out loans, but you have to ask yourself, why do you have to take out loans? It's because you don't have any money. So then it was kind of implied that they didn't know why Victor Webster pulled out. He pretty much he hinted at it, and then whatever he did, I think it was either an Instagram thing or whatever, he deleted that shortly afterwards, where it was. And Lachlan also has kind of said this to fans as well, that essentially they were not getting paid, and the contracts that they had signed with the event were not being upheld on the end of the convention. Visa issues. Rose McGowan specifically told a fan that it was that no. She just said, no, we're pulling out due to shit organisation. And Holly Marie Combs has been quite vocal. If somebody asks her, she's going to be open and honest, that she has said how there was poor organisation, there was blatant lying on behalf of the convention, there was manipulation, there was even threats. And they're not physical threats like, I'm going to kill you. They're very business tactic threats, like, well, if you don't do this, I'm going to have to do this. It's that type of thing. And that is supremely fucked up. That's not a person who, no, I would not want to work with that person. So is it a shock that any of these people cancelled? No, it's not. But here's also the real kicker of it. You see, months and months and months ago, when I kept looking at prices and things kept being announced and things like this and this were being put on sale, the prices just didn't look right to me. I'd never seen convention prices this high. Like I said, Oz Comic Con, you can get a pass for the entire convention to see anyone you want, get any autograph you want, get into VIP areas, all this shit for a few $100s. You want something that grants you even half of that at this convention, it's costing you thousands. That's ridiculous. And then it was strange that a few months ago the convention started to say you could already pre-buy convention merchandise, like mugs. And I'm gonna say the mugs were shit, because it's not like they, well, one had to do with the convention, but everything else was they like took a snapshot of an episode of Charmed and slapped it on a mug and put the words Charm Convention over the top. That's got nothing to do with the convention, and I could do that on fucking TeePublic, which is where my merch is. I could have made that myself, and for a much cheaper price. That is insane. But it was the fact that it stipulated you can buy it now, but you don't get it until the convention. That was an alarm bell for me, and it really screamed to me, I'm trying to get your money. When crap went down with Victor Webster, at the time for sale was a group ticket. You can get a group ticket to have a photo with every single guest, including sponsored guests. And yet, after Victor Webster got cancelled, they were still selling this ticket at full price. When Lachlan got cancelled, they were still selling this ticket at full price. You cannot charge people the same price for an item that no longer exists. And I know these are people, not items, but it's the same principle. You, like, the group ticket is to pay for 9 people. If you're suddenly paying for 7, why are you still paying the same amount? That's really screwed up. And they were talking about, you know, they would be reimbursing people this and this and this, and the convention was offering, you know, compensation, like, to make up for you not getting this. If you have this pass, you get this. If you have this pass, you get this. And if you want proof of that, just go to the Best Events Facebook page. All the posts are there. They haven't been deleted yet. And I just thought, you don't have your ducks in a row. Why are you promising things when your house is a mess? So, like I said, for months prior to all this, I just felt like it felt like a scam to me. But I'm in love with Charmed, so I was gonna, I don't care how much I'm getting charged. You know, that's what I'm gonna do. It's like any person who's a fan of something. That's just, you know, how we are. So, as I said, my friend had told me about the financial issues that were going on. And my friend had also told me that the person running the convention was considering cancelling a few of the guests because they couldn't afford it. And if that didn't work, they'd have to cancel the whole convention. I was told that between 1 and 2 months ago, before Victor Webster was ever cancelled, or before he ever pulled out. So when it happened, I wasn't shocked. It was just like, okay, things have started to be put in motion. And yet the fact that tickets were still being sold at full price, you could still purchase tickets with him, and they were not immediately being taken down. There was also a competition. 5 people would win a bronze pass, which I thought was a very clever strategy, because people would go, oh my god, I get to go for free. No, you don't. You got the cheapest pass, but you still have to pay for all the extras yourself. If you want to actually get anything out of the convention, you'd have to go and pay yourself. So that's one way to get people's money. And conveniently, they're like, well, we couldn't decide on 5, so there are 10 winners. And if you go and ask any of those contestant winners, because you will find them in the comment section of these Facebook posts, all of them saying, I never even got my ticket. They won, their names were listed in the who won, and none of them had been contacted. None of them had received anything. So they were all like, prior to Rose McGowan getting cancelled, they're just like, so when am I going to get my ticket? Because conventions are around the corner and I don't have anything. I know I'm kind of bouncing back and forth in the timeline, but please bear with me. So basically the information I'm getting is that either half the guests are going to be gone or the whole convention is going to be cancelled. So I was waiting for the pin to drop. And then when Victor got cancelled, and then Lachlan, those pins started to drop. And it was just like, okay, it's officially happening. And then it just became a waiting game of, are we going to cancel some people or is it going to be the whole thing? Before it was announced that Rose McGowan was cancelled, I was informed by someone that Rose would not be attending due to visa issues, which Rose McGowan has not confirmed. She's not said that this was the case. All she said was poor organisation and da-da-da-da-da. And Holly has had a lot more to say. And so, yeah, and then the following day it was announced that Rose was cancelled. And now, here's the thing. Like I said, I'm sorry I'm bouncing back and forth. But before Rose got cancelled, the page announced how they had been receiving death threats. Because they cancelled Victor Webster and Lachlan Monroe. Look, no offense to them, love them both, but they were not headlining guests. They were not really main cast, and they were really not like the pride. And like, there were a couple people, I'm not saying they weren't, there were a few people who were like specifically going to see them because they were fans, but the majority was still like, that's okay, so-and-so is still going, and that's what I really care about. I didn't, people were upset because, they wanted to at least get reimbursed for that aspect of their ticket. But, people were just naturally frustrated that suddenly 2 guests were cancelled, but nobody was even in the comments being like, oh, F you. It wasn't like that. So to suddenly hear this announcement that they're getting death threats was really random. But then again, it's the internet, so it's believable. But then when you hear them basically using the excuse of, we have to cancel due to death threats, like, that sounds like you came up with the perfect lie to save your ass. And everybody's like, that's so sad that had to happen, except I'm sitting over here going, well, I already knew a month ago that you were considering cancelling because you had no money. So I think you ultimately had to cancel because your guests weren't getting paid, your guests were backing out in drones, and you were fucked. And it's like the only thing left is to save face and make yourself look like the victim by saying, I have to cancel due to death threats and, it's a safety issue. I don't believe that, because I've had so many people, I've been looking through Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and I've seen the people who are definitely upset, but I've not seen anybody make threats. I have not seen it. And I mean, if someone's going to make a threat online, they're very obvious. You see it. It's the freaking internet, okay? Hard to miss them. Especially when you're like refreshing the page every 2 seconds. So, and here's where the plot thickens. If you're wondering if anything I'm saying is true, and it is, here's a little bit more evidence. If you go to the Best Events Facebook page again, and you take the time to scroll through the comments on the last few posts, what you will find is certain people commenting saying that their posts were being deleted. And they were. I was watching it happen. And all these people were showing screenshots of conversations between them and Rose McGowan, Holly Marie Combs, Lachlan Monroe, Victor Webster, various posts, people talking about various things, people saying that they knew people on the staff, people who said they were on the staff. And conveniently, as soon as they'd post it, and I'd see them, and I'd see their snapshots, 5 seconds later, it's gone. Never to be seen again. Why would you do that unless you had something to hide? Because they're not deleting angry comments of people who are like, this is such a shit show, I'm so pissed off, I can't believe how much money I'm demanding my money back, or I'm going to get a lawyer and I'm going to sue. Those comments have stayed there. But the comments actually revealing the truth behind what has happened, those are conveniently getting deleted. A post has just come in the review section of the page. It was a very long thing. And this person has basically said everything that I have just said. That they knew that guests were cancelling due to money. They knew people were not getting paid. Charisma Carpenter even tweeted the other day, she tagged the Best Events gang, so how come my flight has not been booked? And supposedly it was fixed. I don't know. I can't confirm. But she did publicly tweet that. And people were posting that in the comments. They were showing a snapshot. And that was getting deleted too. It was just like, but you're not deleting hate. You're deleting evidence. And that's like the number one piece of proof that someone has done something wrong when they're trying to cover their tracks. And you can't cover your tracks on something this big. Now, it's funny, because this person must also have been friends, either they were on the staff or they were friends with someone on the staff, because one of the things they mentioned, and I was also told this, this was also told to me weeks ago, that staff members who were meant to be working at the convention, they were quitting. That a few of them had in fact quit. Because they didn't believe the convention was going to happen, because they knew how much was going wrong. They knew there was no money, they knew people weren't getting paid, and if that's the case, they didn't believe that the convention was going to happen, and so they're just like, screw it, I'm out of here. And this person who shared their very long review on why not to ever go with Best Events again, which, in defense, it wasn't Best Events' fault. It's not a company issue, it's a one person fucked up issue. Yeah, he mentioned it too. He said, I don't believe that death threats are a reason, because weeks ago your own staff were jumping ship because they knew this wasn't going to happen. Now, they haven't said this. The convention has just said, you know, they've tried to say, well, I went about this the wrong way. I thought I could make this work. I didn't really know what it took. I've tried taking out loans. So you're already seeing the hints that this is a financial problem. But then when you also speak to the guests and you hear and you kind of see what they've been saying in responses to other people, you see that they were actually being really mistreated. Like, they're your guests. They're the ones that everybody is there to see. But they were being treated so horribly. Like, is it a shock that they backed out? Like, even if they were getting paid, if someone's being that goddamn rude to you, yeah, that's what you do. You go, screw you, I'm out of here, I don't actually have to do this. Were there death threats? There could well have been, because this is the internet and people are a little cuckoo. But I did not see any. And the only thing I have seen is blatant lying, blatant manipulation, very obvious attempts to get your money, no honesty really being delivered. I've seen plenty of evidence from people involved and the guests who seem quite upset on how this has whole gone down and how they were treated. It's the fact that none of this had to happen. For starters, it's the old adage, fail to plan, plan to fail. But that's only an excuse to a certain degree. After that, it turns into, but that doesn't excuse why you were rude, why you were manipulating, lying, threatening. Why were you still charging full price for things that you knew you could not give? Why all this other crap? And then, like I said, deleting Facebook comments. You only do that if you have something to hide. Now, yeah, okay, you also do it if someone's being a dick and posting hate. But the fact is, a lot of us saw what posts were being deleted. Because you're looking at the comments, you're reading them, and one minute you see a post that has all the tea with receipts, and then when you go to like it, sorry, you can't like it, this post no longer exists. And then you scroll a little further and you see that same person reply with, why are my comments being deleted? And then you see another person under there going, why are my comments being deleted? They're not complaints. They're not being nasty. They're just going, you're lying. Here's the proof. And those are being removed. The evidence is being hidden. So yeah, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm anxious, I'm frustrated, I'm a million different things. And the thing is, ultimately why I'm angry is lying and manipulation, and I feel like I got scammed. It's the fact that for over a month this person knew that this was how it was going to go. And that didn't stop them from charging people. It didn't stop them from still taking people's money, knowing that there was a good chance they'd have to cancel and they couldn't refund them. They still chose to take people's money. They still chose to be assholes to the guests of honor and manipulate people, and they're still trying to hide the evidence. You could have saved people a lot of money and a lot of heartache ages ago, but you left it to the last second where it's going to be so hard to rectify any of this. I'm not upset over not getting to meet the guests at the convention. I've met Holly and Brian. And yes, I would have absolutely loved to meet everyone else, but that's not why I'm upset. I'm upset because of all the money I've lost that I may or may not get back. I'm upset because I cashed in my superannuation fund to do this. I emptied it. That, and if you don't know what that is, that's essentially my retirement fund. Money that's meant to be there when I need it. And I felt that I really needed it because I haven't done anything with my 20s. Being unemployed and not being social, not having friends, I don't get to go out, I don't get to do things and have a life. This was going to be a really big thing for me, and with someone with severe anxiety, this was going to be a huge breakthrough moment for me. So for me, it was worth every penny. I don't know where those pennies are now. Some ether going into someone's pocket, I don't know. And then also what upsets me is that I don't get to see my friends. That was the biggest reason I was really excited to go. I was going to see friends that I have known for a decade. I've known them for a decade, and I adore these people. And a couple I haven't known that long, but I adore them, and I have such respect for them and all that they do. And I was going to not just talk to them over an app, not just talk to them through a phone camera. I was actually going to get to be next to them and hug them and spend time with them, and that part hurts the most. I mean, I'm kind of used to being poor, so not having money is like, it's just another day. But when you don't have friends for going on like 5+ years, and all your friends are online and they live in different countries around the world, and you don't get to see them, this opportunity that you might actually get to see them and spend time with them and have fun and live your life for a change, that was gold to me. And it just blew up in my face when a friend of mine, before the convention got cancelled, he said that he wasn't going because it was too stressful with everything going on, and I was crushed. I was crushed more about that than when they said Rose wasn't going. And I thought, oh, maybe it'll work out, maybe he'll change his mind. Oh God, optimism sucks. Don't do it. Yeah, I'm just miserable, and I'm deflated, and I'm angry because it didn't have to happen. I know people who only started buying things a couple weeks ago, and a couple weeks ago stuff had jumped ship. The person behind this knew this wasn't going to work out, and they let people keep buying things anyway. That's not okay. None of this is okay. And anybody who's... I'm not saying you need to lash out at people and start pointing fingers and being, aggressive or anything like that. But saying it was a simple mistake and this person deserves leeway and all that stuff, no, they fucking don't. Not for this. Not on this magnitude. And as Holly said to someone, they had a year. They had a year to plan this. Like I said, it was announced back in June of 2018. That's when I bought my passes. And you're only telling people now that it doesn't work, that they don't have money, that they can't do this. It's like, you didn't figure that out months ago? It's like, but they did. They did know months ago. They just didn't tell anybody. They didn't give people a chance to fix it. They let people get screwed. When it comes down to those little choices, and you were kind of more focused on what you can gain and what you can lie about, instead of, oh my God, I need to make sure these people don't lose everything. Yeah, no. That's a sign of a bad person, in my opinion. I'm not here to hate on that person. I'm honestly not. It sounds like I am, but that's just because they're at fault and there's nobody else to blame. But I'm not gonna go around tarnishing people and like, go get your pitchforks or anything like that. I'm miserable because I was meant to be on a plane on the 2nd, and everything in my schedule and my reviews and my channel were revolving around that and my plans. and my plans have been shot to hell, and I'm just so miserable. I don't know what to do now. Like, I don't really want to watch movies and do reviews and do any of that stuff because I'm just not in the headspace for it. I recorded a game show episode because I'd already planned to do that before I went away, and I wasn't going to renege on that no matter how I felt because I wanted to get it done. And I had promised to do a collab with somebody else on their channel, and while I feel like shit, I'm not going to renege on that either because I promised, and I promised weeks ago. And I don't do that shit to other people. So I've got some stuff I'm going to do, but I think at the moment I just want to focus on feeling better, perking myself up, trying to deal with my financial crisis right now, and also still trying to get better because I'm a bit sick at the moment. I had blocked sinuses or something, and I was worried about getting on a plane while I was having extreme head spins and like 24-hour head spins and these excruciating earaches and migraines, and I was just like, oh my god, am I going to get it fixed before I go on a plane? Because you do not want to have problems with your ears when you get on a plane. You don't. And it's like, well, I guess now I can be as sick for as long as I want because ain't no plane to get on. I am someone who's getting something off my chest. I am answering questions that have been personally asked to me by followers, and I am explaining why, when I announced I was going on a trip, why I'm no longer going on a trip, and why I might be absent from YouTube for a little bit, just while I get that all sorted. So, I think I've said everything that I want to say. I don't know. There was probably one or two other things that I knew and I didn't say, but that's because I have a splitting headache right now and I just kind of want to go cry. So I can't really keep my thoughts straight. I'm sorry that this video was all over the place. It's hard trying to piece it all together. I don't know how drama channels do it. But anyway, so bear with me while I get myself sorted, and keep your fingers crossed that I'm gonna figure out my finances. So, yeah, until next time, bye.